So by showcasing successful local businesses and providing access to resources, we can inspire youth to see the potentials in their own countries. This is a fact. Once the government is able to support local businesses, providing access to resources, supporting ideas, it will inspire youth to see the potential of living in their own countries. You will no longer hear youth screaming that they would rather die in the Mediterranean than to see themselves in Africa. They will rather die. How can you wish death upon yourself than your own country? Staying and investing in local economies can drive economic growth, create jobs, and reduce poverty. It empowers youth to become job creators rather than job seekers, which is vital for sustainable development. And talking about sustainable development, ladies and gentlemen, let us look at what African Agenda 2063 says. What are the key priorities? What are the key goals of African Agenda 2063? Let us look at what it says. So the African Agenda 2063, it has its priorities and its goals. But what we are talking about innovation, we are talking about investing in the youth, we are talking about what promoting small scale businesses, we are talking about investing in the educational sector, in technology and entrepreneurship. But what does the African Agenda 2063 says on this aspect? Let us look at the goals and the priority areas of this agenda. So this is what the Africa Agenda 2063 says. Look at the aspirations. Here are the aspirations and here are the goals, priority areas. If you look at the goals, it says high standard of living, quality of life and well-being for all citizens. Then at the priority areas, it says income, jobs, and decent work. It is very important. Decent work is very important. The previous video we watched, we saw how people were mining in the most crude and brutal forms. That is not job. That is surviving. That is not a job. And that is not a decent job. And then the priority says poverty, to eliminate poverty, inequality, and hunger, social insecurity and protection, including persons with disability, modern, affordable, and living habits, and quality basic services. This is what it says under what? High standard of living, quality of life, and well-being for all citizens. These are the priorities. So the aspiration for Africa is this: a prosperous Africa based on inclusive growth and sustainable development. And so this is the goal, and these are the priorities. And so what are the other goals we have here? It says well-educated citizens and skilled renovation underpinned by science, technology, and innovation. We have healthy and well-being nourished citizens. We have a transformed economy. And the priority says what? Education, science, technology, innovation, different skills, and all of that stuff. So this is what the African Agenda 2063 says. Now, well-educated citizen. How do we get well-educated citizens? If we just have the same educational system we've always had since the colonial masters came, and the only thing we believe in is that it's only when we travel abroad and get the same the education abroad that we'll be well-educated and will be valued. When the Europeans or the Western citizens come to our country, whether they come to study or do anything, we do not force them to do another 1-year course in our universities before we can consider their certificate. We consider their certificate as hey and amen, as holy and as it is. But when you carry your own degree from an African university and travel to their country, before you are enrolled in another program, you have to go through another 1 year of training in their own system before they can consider you as qualified. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we go through. But we are African youth, they don't mind at all to go even 4 years to add to the same lengthy educational system that we have in Africa to be able to stay in the Western world. We don't mind at all. But this agenda is talking about educated citizens. We must be able to reform our educational system and curriculum in ways that once a student is graduating, they must be job market ready, and they self-employed, self-reliant, and everything. And this is what we are talking about. Modern education, modern agriculture for increased productivity and production. We talk of this every day, and yet we still practice rudimentary agriculture and sustainable agriculture. We do not practice high-skilled and high-level agriculture with sophisticated technology. A united Africa. Look at what it says here. As an aspiration, it says an integrated continent, politically united based on the ideals of Pan-Africanism and the vision of Africans' Renaissance. This is what it all says. But how far is this? What has been done so far, ladies and gentlemen? We can't read all of this. It has all the priorities areas. But what I wanted to bring out was that it talks about renovation. It talks about education. It talks about improving unemployment and improving the lives of citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, and also better ways to help our youth is by doing what? Modern models. Role models and mentors play a significant role in shaping the aspiration of young people, highlighting successful Africans who have this also helped educate our people. Once we highlight Africans who have made it, it encourages young Africans to be able to be innovative. And I have brought out a list. I'm just going to share my screen once again, and I will just bring out some people who have been very inspiring, who have stood out despite the challenges in the continent. They have stood out. This year is, I will not be able to pronounce his name very well, but Iyanolua Aboyiji. He's a Nigerian, the co-founder of Adela and Florida Wave. We all know what, if you have used YouTube, you will definitely know what Florida Wave is. It's a way of sending out money to one country, from one country to another, and they're very significant at very low rates. And we can see that he is the co-founder, he's the CEO and co-founder of that. And we have this incredible young lady here from South Africa who is doing so amazing. These are people we should, young people can look up to, role models. You see, Tato, I can't pronounce the other name, that is from South Africa. He's a founder of that Rekanda, which produces repurposed school bags made from recycled plastic bags and integrated with solar technology to provide light for studying after dark. And so her innovation addresses both environmental and educational challenges in her community, and she is doing incredibly well in that area. And we can see also this is a business tycoon, the Ghana business tycoon, Fred Swanike, a Ghanaian, the founder of African Leadership University, which is refining higher education in the continent, right? And the university focuses on leadership and entrepreneurial skills to prepare young Africans for future challenges. This is what we are talking about. Bring out people who have made it so that they can be role models for our African youth, to encourage them to be able to stay and focus in Africa. And we have Olatorere of Nigeria, the CEO of dressmollet.com, an e-commerce platform for fashion, beauty, health products in Africa, and all of that stuff. And we also have this tycoon from Rwanda. Is also an entrepreneur who who and a founder who owns a company that produces affordable and eco-friendly energy solution from waste, and his work addresses energy shortages and waste management issues in Rwanda. And we have incredible, these are other people. This is from Sierra Leone, and she is making significant stride in telecommunication industry, improving connectivity and digital innovations, inclusion in Sierra Leone, and all of that. So we have all of these people who have been serving, who are doing great, which are people that we can look up to, and these are all young Africans, entrepreneurs that can be used as role models. So to encourage ourselves to know that we can also make it in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, we can make it in Africa. Okay. And please, again, if you're watching, even you're watching now or you're watching later, kindly subscribe to my channel and kindly share, like, and comment. Let us have your thoughts, share your thoughts in the comment section, and we would love to read from you, and we will be happy to do what. We'll be happy to communicate via the comment section. And if ever you have a very important topic you want to talk about, you want us to share ideas on Africa, what Africa should become, what you want to see from Africa, the leaders, from leadership to you and I who are ordinary citizens, let us have your thoughts in the comment section, and we would love to bring you on board. Okay. So what about the policies and the governance? Governance and policy makers also have a crucial role to play. They need to create policies that support youth development, reduce corruption, and ensure economic benefit reaches all levels of society. Right. So good governance and transparency are essential to creating a stable environment where youth feel comfortable, where youth can strive, and where youth can build their own future. So, for example, corruption and financial misappropriation that has really resulted in many of the problems that our youth are having today, and have caused or have pushed most of our youths to leave Africa and go to other parts of the world. Let's talk about different countries amongst us, the countries that we've mentioned as economic powers in Africa, including countries like Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, when you talk of Nigeria, Nigeria is notorious for high level of corruption, with Transparency International ranking it as 147th out of the 180 countries in its corruption prescription index. Cameroon, which has ranked itself twice as the first most corrupt country in Africa. Oh yeah, that I know for a fact. We've seen this before. Cameroon is widespread. It is known for its widespread corruption affecting various sectors of hindering economic development. South Africa itself has been facing significant issues with corruption, particularly the government contracts and public services. Government contractors and public services. So in Zimbabwe, we've also seen an increasing rate of corruption and economic misappropriation or mismanagement that has crippled the economy. We heard from the beginning the level of unemployment in Zimbabwe. It was at 90, leading to severe hyperinflations and unemployment, which is horrible. And these are the things that drive our youth nuts. These are the things that pushes our youth out of the continent. And this is not what we want for our African youth. We want to have our youth in Africa, to rebuild Africa. We have Togo. Togo corruption remains a significant challenge, affecting public trust, economic growth, and all of that. And Senegal, despite some progress, corruption still impacts its economy and social development. We have Sudan. Political instability and corruption has severely hindered economic growth in that part of the world. Sudan has gone through a lot of years and decades of a civil war, and it has affected its country's economy, its growth, its social life, everything. That is why there is so much a level of unemployment in that part of the world, and we can understand that. But Zimbabwe, we don't have a war in Zimbabwe. Why are we having 90% of Zimbabweans youths unemployed? South Sudan, the endemic corruption and conflict have resulted in a collapsed economy and extreme poverty. We have Ethiopia. While experiencing economic growth, corruption still affects the various fabrics of its society, the various sectors. Eritrea lacks transparency and political repression that makes corruption difficult to assess, which makes corruption very difficult to accept. Pardon me. It's believed to be widespread. That's corruption for you in Africa. These are just some of the countries I'm just talking about. And this goes to every African country. If there is no African country that you can really pick it out and say, oh, this is a role model that does not practice corruption. You see widespread corruption that has affected a lot of people stealing from the coffers, hindering economic growth, hindering infrastructure in the economy because they feed their private pockets and their families with the resources, the country's resources instead of building the country. So effective policies can create a more conducive environment for business, education, and innovation. And this, in turn, can reduce the push factor that drives youth to seek opportunities out elsewhere. These are very important factors. The leaders of our nations must be able to fight corruption at the every fabric of the society, because they've normalized corruption. When you are elected into government offices in Africa, when you don't steal, they call you stupid. When you don't steal, they say you're not smart, you're not using your head. And that is how, because that has become a trend, that has become a system, that has become a norm, it has become a policy that stealing is allowed. When you're elected to government, instead of serving the people, you serve your pocket. And once you try to serve the people, they say you're not smart, you're stupid. We must be able to beat corruption in every fabric of our society. It is only then that we can be able to redirect, funnel the money to where it's supposed to go. In that way, our countries will be developed and the youth will see a reason to stay back at home. Because you can't be graduated from the university for 10 years, you're still looking for your first job after graduation. Why would anybody stay in that kind of economy? If you want to start up a business, the taxes that the government brings on you automatically kills your dream. When you want to be self-employed, you don't even have the opportunity because there are no fundings to even encourage you to start up your own organization or your own business. Ladies and gentlemen, these are some of the very basic factors that are pushing our youth out, but we must be able to stand against this. Community and cultural revival. For us to be able, ladies and gentlemen, to convince our youths to stay back and rebuild Africa for Africa and rebuild our future, we must also return to community and cultural revival. We said before that when the whites came, when the West came, they infiltrated our cultures, our communities, our everything. They turned it upside down and they made us to believe that everything we practiced was primitive and only what they introduced was superior and modern. So communities must come together to revive and celebrate their cultural heritage. Festivals, art, and storytelling can all play a part in recognizing our own roots. So by embracing our cultural identity, we foster a sense of what belonging and pride, reducing the allure of foreign lands. Staying and engaging in community and cultural activities strengthens social cohesion and ensures the transmission of cultural values to future generations. It builds a society where everyone feels connected and valued. And I will tell you this for a fact. I have lived and worked in the Irish community, and I know the importance of community in the Irish society. They value their community more than anything. They value, there is strength in their communities. Coming together, organizing activities as a community, volunteering within their communities, offering support amongst themselves is what has held the Irish community together ever since their independence, because they went through a lot in the hands of the Brits. And that is what held them together. But they came in our own countries and distorted our own foundations, our own heritage, our own cultural values, but they hold on to theirs, and we allow them to do this. Ladies and gentlemen, we must return to our values, our cultural heritage. We must strengthen ourselves through what our ancestors had. We are not asking for us to go and practice evil. We throw away what is not good. It is the same thing when you enter the laboratory and you're testing something. Once it's not good, you throw it out, and whatever is good, you hold on to it and you push it. This is what we are talking about. Decolonizing the mindsets of African youths. So, ladies and gentlemen, if we must decolonize the minds of African youths, then we must be able, ladies and gentlemen, to focus on our own identity. We must promote our own perspective. So now let us look at what incorporating the African Agenda 2063 means to our African. So African Agenda 2063 highlights the importance of cultural renewal and African identity, which is very important, the identity of Africans. We have lost our identity because we are trying to hide behind the Western world's identity. We no longer, you're not proud to say with your shoulders lifted up, with your chest lifted, where you come from. Because you've acquired a nationality in one foreign country, you start telling yourself, oh, I'm Irish, I'm British, I'm Canadian, I'm American, I'm Belgian, I'm German, and so forth and so forth. It's sickening. It's sickening. And we must be able to embrace our cultural identity, the Africanness in us, the identity that we have. We have a lot of Africans, intellectuals across the world. If we were all to migrate back to Africa and rebuild Africa, ladies and gentlemen, Africa will be the strongest warehouse in the world. America is today proud of itself because it took away our forefathers and used them as slaves, and they built America to what it is. Imagine if we all return back home to Africa. We all return back home to Africa with all the knowledge. Okay, they've extorted our resources. Okay, we went to their universities and we studied, but bring back the knowledge that we all acquired from these universities, from wherever we are across the world, and rebuild Africa with this knowledge and make Africa a home for Africa. And then you will begin to appreciate the Africanness in us, because most of us, we deny who we are. You don't even want to say, I come from this part of Africa. You keep identifying yourself with the European country where you've gotten citizenship, or in the Western country where you've gotten citizenship. Oh, I'm Chinese, I'm South Korean, and your face blacks like your face is as black as mine. And you're an American, and yet you're as black as I am. You're British, you're Belgian, you're this, you're... Ladies and gentlemen, we must, as a people, arise and renew, just like the African Agenda 63 says. It highlights the importance of cultural renewal and Africa identity. We must begin to re-embrace the ideals of Africanism, the Pan-Africanism. United Africa, a people with values, to promote the preservation of cultural heritage and celebrate diverse cultures as a unifying force. This is what we must do to rebuild Africa, so that the youth of Africa must remain in Africa, to build Africa and make a future and a future for Africa. Okay, Ladies and gentlemen, we've been on for almost 2 hours. Like I said, if you're just tuning in, share your thoughts in the comment section. We are talking about African youth and why they migrate to Africa, to different parts of the world, but what can be done for African youth to remain and rebuild Africa the way it is for Africa. So, conclusively, what do we do? Actions, the call for action. It's very important that our African leaders must implement in its entirety the wordings of African Agenda 2063. In this way, we must rebuild the various sectors in our different countries to encourage our youth, but most importantly, empower our youth to remain in Africa, to stay in Africa. We must fight corruption. The very fabrics of corruption must be dismantled within our various societies, in our various governments, in our countries, in every place, office that we enter. Because, like it is said, I listened to PLO Lumumba, and he said, once you are elected into an office and you cannot steal, you're called stupid. If you choose to do the right thing, you're called stupid. They say you're not using your head. They say you're wasting. The people that took you into that office wasted their time. So they can't wait for the next term of election to come for you to be kicked out, because they want somebody who steals, because they've made it a law. It has become a normal practice, normalcy for people to steal. Decolonizing the mindset of African youths and preventing migration in a multifaceted challenge, right? It is actually a challenge because our minds have already been colonized. We have seen that success we can only succeed in the West. It is only in the West that we can succeed, but we forget that the West succeeds because of Africa. The resources in our continent is what has enriched and empowered the West. So we must be able. So by doing, and it has been decades of colonized minds. So for us to be decolonized, our minds to be decolonized, we must understand our history, reforming our educational system, empowering our economies, providing role models, ensuring good governance, reviving cultural heritage, and we also can build brighter future for our continent if we do all of these things. So, African Agenda 2063 provides a comprehensive roadmap for Africa transformation. So this is the call for African leaders to make sure that the African Agenda 2063 is implemented in its entirety. By aligning our efforts with these goals, we can ensure sustainable development, increase a continent where every youth has the opportunity to strive and to succeed. So we work together to achieve a vision for Agenda 2063. So, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot emphasize this enough. If we want to have a resilient youth, a youth that is empowered, we must be able to work collectively to take these actions to create a prosperous and a self-reliant Africa for African youths, to make sure that our youth stay in the continent. Our youths are the future of Africa. And we, the youth, we must be able to rethink and reshape our mindset, because Africa is for Africa. We must rebuild Africa. There is so much in Africa. It's not only in the West that we can succeed. The West has succeeded because of Africa. So, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot thank you enough for this session. Thank you for watching. And please, like I said, do not forget to share. Do not forget to like. Do not forget to comment. Comment your thoughts in the comment section, and we will have an interaction in the comment section. Let us know what you think about this topic. How do you want us to go about it in next time? If you're interested to be part of the panel discussion to talk about the African youth, and why we should stay in the African continent and be our future back home, let us know in the comment section, and we will be happy to bring you on board to discuss this very important topic. And that was me, your host, Cecilia Amabo. Thank you very much for your time. And please share your thoughts in the comment section, and we will get back to you and bring us topics that you like us to discuss when it comes to rebuilding Africa, reviving the spirit of Africanism, and strengthening the youth of Africa to stay in Africa, because we've lost a lot of our youth in the Mediterranean Sea and in the Sahara Desert, struggling to cross over to the West to survive, because they believe it is only in the West that they can survive. But we have to start decolonizing our minds, decolonizing the minds of our youth, speaking to our government, calling our government to account, holding them accountable. So, ladies and gentlemen, it was a pleasure to bring you this conversation, and I'm so grateful to those of you who watch and those who will be watching later. Like I said, share your thoughts in the comment section, and we will have a more deeper conversation. This is a very deep and very extensive topic that we can spend over a month talking about it on a daily basis. And so if you want to be part of a panel discussion to talk about African youth, the migration, what pushes them away, what the government should be doing, what our government should be doing, how we should hold our government accountable, how should African youth rebuild Africa, what should be done, your thoughts on how we can revive the spirit of Pan-Africanism and rebuild Africa, the future of Africa back home by Africans, we will be happy to have you on board. So thank you very much and have a wonderful evening. This is me, your host, Cecilia Amabo, and see you next time. God bless you.